In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the window regulator on this Toyota Tacoma. We're dealing with a manual window regulator, not a power one, so there's no motor or wiring involved for us. Let's get started. To remove this window crank handle, you can either use a special tool, looks like a large fork. You stick it in from the handle end and it'll push on a little clip, or if you just have a pick, you can stick a pick in there and try to pick that clip out. It should be facing up, so opposite of the end of the crank handle. You'll be able to get a hold of that metal clip and pull it up. There we go, got it. Once you pull it up and out, you'll be able to slide the handle off. And there it is. Make sure that you take this little plastic washer with it. This is important to put back here because it basically makes a little separation between the handle and the door panel so that you don't rub the handle into the door panel, and it also makes a nice tighter seal there. Set that aside. Underneath the grab handle, you'll see two little plastic caps. Pop those off carefully, either with a pocket screwdriver or a pick. There are 3 Phillips head screws, one in each of these holes and one up in the door handle. Remove all 3. If they want to stay in the door, that's fine, or you can grab a magnet and fish them out of there, but if you can't, they'll just fall out when you pull the door panel off. There's one last one up top in the door handle. Remove that as well. Slide forward on the door handle. You should feel it unlock. Pull it away from the door panel. And if you look at it underneath, or up top, I should say, there's going to be this locking tab here. You have to pry it towards you, so out. Sometimes if you get a screwdriver or a pick or something, that should help you pry it out, just like that. Once you get that out, you'll be able to slide the rod off of the locking tab there, just like that. Set that aside. Now grab a trim tool, or you could just stick your fingers down here and start prying away. All that's holding this on is just some plastic clips at this point. Try not to break them, of course, so we can put this back together. There we go. There's one of those screws. And the other one. Let's get those before I lose them. All right, door panel is mostly free. So at this point, because I have manual mirrors, I can just sneak this past the sail panel here, and then all we have to do at this point is push it up to clear the lock rod as well as the window seal here. And there's your door panel. Set that aside. If your vehicle has a tweeter speaker at this point, you'd want to disconnect it before you pull the door panel away. So press on that little tab up top, pull the wire away, and remove your door panel. At this point, you want to carefully peel back this vapor barrier. Make sure you don't break it, but the tape, the butyl tape, should allow you to peel it back. If you have to, if this starts stretching, you can cut it. So like if it does this, you know, just cut it with a razor blade instead of completely ripping it off of there. Usually that works out better. Unfortunately, my vapor barrier is very brittle, so it keeps breaking, but I'm going to try my best to keep it intact because we will have to put this back. This protects moisture from getting into the interior of the vehicle, so you want to prevent that from happening. To continue peeling this vapor barrier off, we're going to have to pop the wire for the tweeter speaker off of here. So grab a trim tool, remove this. It's going to have a couple areas that it mounts on. Continue peeling this so we can expose all of the fasteners for the window regulator, which are these gold looking ones here. Put the window crank handle back on and roll the window down pretty much all the way so that you can have access to the 2 mounting fasteners that hold the window glass onto the regulator. You can see one over here through this larger opening. The other one you'll access through this circle that is cut out in the door. Once you're pretty much there, you can get a 10mm socket, loosen up both of them, and we can pull the window up. Okay, take that out. Do the same to the other one. That fell in the door. That's all right. I'll fish it out with a magnet. But at this point, the window should be free off of the regulator. So you want to be careful because if this falls down, the window will break. Now you're going to want to put the window all the way up. Make sure it's going to still be held on by the regulator to some extent. Bring it all the way up. Don't make it extra tight, but at this point, you'd want to tape the window. Of course, I'm going to clean it off so that no debris is on here and the tape sticks, but the window is going to stay in place here with tape while we remove the regulator. Now with the window up and cleaned, I'm going to use some masking tape. This is about inch-wide masking tape. I don't really recommend using anything thinner just because it's, well, less likely to hold on tightly and more likely to break. And I like to go about halfway down the window, if not more. Do about 3 strips of this. I also strongly recommend using masking tape over any other tape because masking tape will not leave residue, whereas if you use other types of tape, it most likely will. Then you're going to sit here scrubbing it all off. Okay, there we go. 3 strips are on. With the handle still on here, lower the regulator. The window should stay and the regulator should come down. And you don't have to go that low. Just bring it about halfway. Pull your handle back off, which, by the way, if you remove that locking clip, you can slide it on and off a bunch of times without having it lock on. At this point, you have several 10mm headed bolts that we have to remove to get the regulator out. Careful on this last one, it's most likely going to want to fall. So I'm going to hold it from the back side. With it unbolted, slide it back, down, and right out. There it is. Take the new regulator, slide it into the door. Try to line it up with all of the mounting holes. The easiest part is to line up the crank area. Have one bolt ready to thread it in. This will prevent it from falling back down, well, except for here, but you can hold it here and then line up the mounting holes on this side. I'm going to start in another mounting bolt over here because it lines up. And the last one down here, last one on this side, that is. Snug them up a little bit. Don't make them extra tight yet. Get them close, but don't make them tight yet so that this can still move around. Grab that handle, turn the regulator so you can line it up on this end. And as you can see, as you roll it up and down, this is going to line up. Let's put in the last 2 mounting bolts. There's one, and the second one. All right, now we can snug them all up. There we go, that's tight. 43 inch-pounds is the torque for all of these bolts. If you're unable to torque them, just make them snug, give them about 1/8 of a turn with a wrench or a ratchet after they bottom out. There we go. Put the handle on, roll the window regulator up till it meets up with the glass, and you can look through the top here. You can kind of see where it's supposed to be, where you can stick your hand in here And you want to make sure that it actually slides onto, there we go, that just clicked into place, slides onto the glass so we can hold it securely, so we can remove the tape, lower everything, and re-secure the glass onto the regulator. Slowly and carefully remove the tape. Hold the glass just in case it does want to slide down, of course. Roll the window down now, very carefully. Still holding it just in case. It is not bolted onto the regulator right now. Once you get close, you can slide this rail left and right to line it up with the bolt holes. Continue bringing it down until you can see both. And now, let's get the mounting bolts in. Get this one started and thread it on. Don't tighten it up yet completely so that you can move things around. And then start this other one here. With both started, I'm going to do this by hand. I don't want to use any power tools. The vibrations can, unfortunately, break the glass sometimes. So I'm just going to make this nice and snug by hand. Snug it up. And if you still had your torque wrench, you could torque these to 43 inch-pounds as well. There we go. And now you can start putting the vapor barrier back over. Hopefully yours is not in extremely poor condition. Do the best you can. If your butyl tape doesn't stick anymore, just use some tape. And if you are able to close these gaps here with some tape, just tape over it. Like I said, just do the best you can to get it resecured. It is important that it protects any water from getting on the inside of the door panel. Stick this back on all over. Take this wire for the tweeter speaker, stick it back into its mounting holes. Make sure that that clicks and locks in, just like that. Take your tweeter speaker connector, plug it in, make sure it clicks. If it doesn't click, it's most likely not locked in. Line up the door panel. Make sure that on this side it goes over the lock indicator. And then on this side, it goes behind and under this little panel here, just like that. Slides onto the top of the door very nicely. And then you want to make sure all of the clips all around are lined up. If you tap this in without them being lined up, they will break. They are just plastic, which, by the way, a lot of times they break when you remove them. So you want to make sure you have some on hand to replace them if that's the case. Otherwise, your door panel is going to be a little floppy. Pop it in. Okay, that's pretty secured. Let's put these two main anchor screws back in underneath the grab handle. Snug them up. They are going into plastic, so don't over tighten them or you will strip out the plastic insert on the back and then they won't get tight. But once you snug it up, it should be good to go. Right there, give it a little extra, and that's good. Let's put on the two plastic covers to finish this up. Put these two plastic caps back on. If they don't line up and don't click in, it's probably because you have them upside down. They are directional. There we go. Pull out on this rod here and get it lined up with the door handle. It's going to have a little hole that it hooks into, and then take the plastic clip and lock it in onto the handle or onto the rod itself. And then you're going to want to line up the handle a little bit forward of its actual position because there are some hooks that hook backwards. So once they slide in, push it back, that'll lock into place, and the screw in the center will be perfectly lined up. If this doesn't line up, your clips, your hooks on the back are not in position. Tighten up the screw. It's going into plastic, so just snug it up a tiny bit. Usually these strip out very easily. On the window crank handle, put the plastic washer back on. Make sure that the outer lip faces you and the inner part goes further into the door. It's kind of recessed into the door panel. Line up the crank handle, and once you feel it line up with the splines, tap it on. That should lock it in place nice and tight. Everything still works.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.